He's winning. You listen to your Mickey Mouse polls.
Sheriff Joe Arpaio doesn't believe the Mickey Mouse polls showing Donald Trump is in a dead heat with Hillary Clinton here in Arizona. But you know, a lot of voters have problems with the polls. So how do you separate the good polls from the junk polls? Joining us is Michael O'Neil of Tempe-based O'Neil Associates, public opinion research, a national firm with 35 years of polling experience. You got a chuckle out of that quote.
Yeah, I chuckle because in the old days, years ago, when Joe was running 90% in the polls, he used to call me up personally to tell me how great our polls were. But that was in the days when he had 90% approval.
And he's not there anymore.
No. And his opinion of polls, you see, has sort of gone down with his own numbers.
So the poll of Joe Arpaio on the polls. Without preparing us for a PhD in opinion research, give us the three things for you that are, say, red flags when you look at a poll and make you go,
Well, the worst possible thing is where respondents are self-selected. Anything that starts out, call into this number or go to this website and tell us what you think, that's the worst of all possible.
Is that online polls? Is that part of that?
Anything that has self-selection in it. A good poll starts with a pollster contacting a respondent, never, under any circumstances, the other way around.
Okay.
Self-selection is death. But the gold standard is a telephone survey which includes a cell phone sample, and it has repeated calls to non-respondents because the people who are easy to reach are different from people who are less easy to reach. And that requires expertise, and it requires a great deal of effort. You can't do it right on the cheap.
So right now, you're seeing places, sites like 538.com, The Upshot, which take averages of these polls, which apply a special sauce to the polls, and they're a mix of methodologies, like online polls, the self-selecting ones you don't like. Sometimes they get the survey sample.
They don't have self-selected in there. No,
they use the online polls.
There are two people who are doing online stuff, and they're doing modeling. Online and self-selection. There's still some online people that are experimenting with that, but they still involve outreach from the researcher to the respondent.
So how much should we trust that special sauce they put on that says, okay, Donald Trump has a 64% chance of winning Arizona? That's what The Upshot now says.
Essentially, they model. They take into account the quality of the poll. They take into account House effects. Some lean one way or another. They take into account the track record of the firm, the recency of the poll. The good ones incorporate things like if there's a poll in Pennsylvania and it shows a big Hillary jump, that might have presumed to have some effect on Ohio, particularly if Ohio has not had a recent poll. The track record of those, Nate Silver, if you want to use 538 as an example, he got 49 out of 50 correct in 08, 50 out of 50 in 2012. That
didn't do so well in the primaries this year, did he?
The primary polling's a lot harder. And by the way, I don't mean to say that this is necessarily fair. The track record's pretty good, but there are more and more polls out there, and more, higher and higher percentage of them are done on the cheap, robopolls by machines. Those are very, very questionable. So
do you trust? You like those projections by 538 and The Upshot?
Guess what? They're sort of the best you have. They're less than totally perfect, and where they are not. You see right now, as we pointed when we were discussing, the different aggregators have somewhat different calls for Arizona. That's because we're virtually a toss-up. When it goes to 80 or 90% probability, there's a high degree of convergence. When you have something, as you approach being a total toss-up, then the slight differences in modeling statistics can have an impact. And basically, I look at all of them, and if they're divergent, you probably don't know what the results are.
Okay, the national polls this past week, they showed Hillary Clinton with a lead ranging from 1 point to 14 points. Again, what should I believe?
I believe the average, which is 7. And that's not just the two extremes. That's the average of all of the polls that are done. You know, there's this plus or minus around the polls, even if they're well done. A couple of them that are out there have methodological issues. But for the most part, among well-done polls, you expect a kind of that bell curve. You know, you expect most in the middle and a few trailing. If you look at the extreme on either side, either one of those is unlikely to be true. But the averages have proven to be reasonably resilient. And by the way, I don't mean to say that you're never going to have a case where the polls are off. I mean, there's things that could produce that. But generally speaking, the track record, if you average all the polls, a lot better than any one poll.
All right, we're going to come back in just a minute. We're going to break down the Arizona polls showing Trump and Clinton are tied. Stay with us. And we're back with pollster Mike O'Neil. Okay, let's go to Arizona now. Polls show a dead heat. As I said before, a lot of different methodology, but they all seem to agree Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are tied. And yet, upshot, 538. Others say Donald Trump has a 55%, 64% chance of winning.
I think 538 has a slight tilt towards Hillary. But the point, it is so close that secret sauce you referenced, which involves what exact weight you give to various factors, it's so close that which way you tweak it changes the result. And what that tells you is in Arizona, they're actually going to have to count the votes.
But politically, I think you get this. What about the facts on the ground and the kind of things that have to happen for a Hillary Clinton to do something that's only been done once in the last, 68 years?
Well, actually, on the intangibles, I give her an edge, and it's called ground game. Normally, both sides do that with some efficiency. This side, there is a Democratic operation. Donald Trump, by every indication, has not gone that way at all. So in a dead heat, I wonder, and this is speculation, my intangible would say the team that actually has a ground game, which is a get-out-the-vote effort, may prevail if it really is dead even.
Another fact on the ground that a lot of polls, it seems, miss. Historically, Republicans turn out in larger numbers than their voter registration.
That's built into the estimates. The Republicans are more reliable, absolutely, and that's why, in effect, the lack of a ground game hurts them less than if it were the Democrats need it. But historically, both sides do it anyway, and it tends to cancel out. But absolutely, Republicans are more reliable. But that's built into all the likely voter models give you more Republicans than Democrats because that's usually reflective of the electorate.
Let's go to the sheriff's race. Yeah. Very closely watched. Republican Joe Arpaio, Democrat Paul Penzone. Polls show Penzone with a lead of 10 to even 15 points. There aren't that many polls in that race. The 15-point result, I know the Penzone campaign doesn't even believe. How trustworthy are those?
You know, I think here's the basis. I take the numbers and then I apply what else I know. And I know that Joe Arpaio got 51% of the vote last year. And I think in this case, people aren't deciding.
In 2012.
In 2012. He got 51%. I think of what's happened over the last 4 years. I don't see anything that has bolstered his figures. So that he should be below that, I think, is credible. Because there's only a couple of polls that have been done. There's not a massive number like in the president. So the intangibles, I would say, I think his ceiling was 51 and some bad stuff has happened. So for him to be behind, to me, is very credible.
All right. Mike O'Neil, great insight. Thanks so much for joining us.
Anytime.